One thing I hope that people of a preparedness mindset are thinking about is the geopolitical situation globally. Right now, we have tensions rising across multiple nations, and it doesn't look like it's going to back down. And I know in all our respective countries, we've all got a lot on our plate. But there are some global moves that are going on that are quite concerning. And so I've got a couple of headlines that I want to talk to you about involving this. And this is something we really need to keep a close eye on. So let's jump right on into the first article here. It's out of RT. I'll leave the links for these articles in the description of the video as usual. The first article here is titled, China Warns U.S. Using Human Rights as Pretext for More Anti-Russia Sanctions as Beijing Publicly Backs Moscow in New Standoff. So the article reads as this: China has said it strongly opposes new sanctions against senior Russian officials proposed by lawmakers in Washington, arguing that the U.S. is guilty of double standards when it comes to violations of international law. The Chinese Foreign Ministry has accused U.S. lawmakers of using human rights as a pretext for imposing new anti-Russia measures that undermine recent negotiations between the Kremlin and Washington. Speaking on Monday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman said that China is strongly against Washington applying unilateral sanctions under the pretext of protecting human rights, while also stating that the U.S. itself often violates the provisions of the UN Charter and acts contrary to generally accepted norms of international law. The article goes on to say Hua Chunying added, and I'm sure I pronounced that wrong and I apologize, added that the sanctions, which still need to be approved by the Senate before they come into effect, are not only opposed by China and Russia, but also by a growing number of countries. The move to back Moscow and publicly call out Washington comes only days after the Kremlin's own press secretary labeled the new proposed measure a betrayal of progress made between the two nations during negotiations earlier this year. Dmitry Peskov said that the proposals would significantly undermine the spirit of Geneva, referring to the Putin-Biden summit in the Swiss city back in July. The new anti-Russian legislation was announced last week as part of almost $800 billion U.S. defense budget planned for the upcoming financial year. The impending sanctions target 35 Russian nationals, including journalists, businessmen, and government officials, namely Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, if I said that correct, and Health Ministry head Mikhail Murashchenko. I know I said that one wrong. And lastly here, other initiatives have been put forward in order to punish the Kremlin for allegedly interfering in U.S. elections, such as extending bond trading curbs on the secondary market and prohibiting Americans from purchasing and or selling Russian sovereign debt securities. Despite Peskov not acknowledging that the new legislation has a long path to travel before coming into action, and the suggested debt provisions are but an international parliamentary exercise, this new wave of restrictions could undo the previous attempts to build a more amicable rapport between the two nations, untarnished by reoccurring sanctions. So this is very rare that China comes out and speaks on the behalf of not only just another nation, but another superpower. And I think that in itself speaks for a lot. We need to be concerned about this because there's a lot of increasing rhetoric going on with China and Russia right now that indicate that they are absolutely teaming up together. And while I don't think that they really want to be the boogeyman. China I'm a bit concerned with. I don't think Putin wants to be the boogeyman. Pardon me. I really, really don't. But, the U.S. is not the only cat in all of this. And that's why I've got another article that I want to talk to you about. Let's go ahead and bring it up. China blasts Royal Navy's malicious sail in Taiwan Strait as undermining peace and stability. Again, this link will also be in the description. The article reads, the Chinese military has condemned the UK Navy after it engaged in what Beijing officials described as a malicious sail through the Taiwan Strait that undermined its peace and stability. The HMS Richmond, a frigate deployed as part of the UK carrier strike group containing aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth, tweeted on Monday that it was en route through the Taiwan Strait as it headed to Vietnam, making the first time since 2019 that a British vessel has sailed through the waterway. The military maneuver comes after a busy period working with partners and allies in the East China Sea, according to the team on the Richmond, as the UK seeks to bolster its commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific. China, however, blasted the UK's activity in a statement released by the Beijing military, calling the Royal Navy's behavior malicious and saying it undermined the peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait. The spokesperson of the Eastern Theater Command, Colonel Shi Yi, warned that the Chinese troops were on alert. The Queen Elizabeth is making her maiden operational voyage to the Indo-Pacific region, where the senior Royal Navy Admiral Tony Ratican confirmed that the UK will station vessel for at least the next 5 years to make it very clear that the Taiwan Strait is international waters. The last time a British naval ship traveled through the Taiwan Strait was in 2019 when a survey vessel journeyed through the area. The United States has been more active in the region, with the U.S. Navy making 9 passages through the Taiwan Strait this year alone, compared with 13 during 2020. Allies of the UK and US, including Australia, Canada, and France, have also sent their navies into the area in the past few years. The region has become a contested section of water as Japan and its Western allies seek to counter what they see as China's expansionist activity in the area, where Beijing has laid claim to the East and South China Seas. China has repeatedly rejected this narrative, claiming it has territorial rights to the area and warning that Western nations should not play with fire or risk peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait by engaging in military activity in the region. So again, the United States is not the only country that is involved in all of this. Absolutely not. This is something that I do think is going to blow up. This is something that I do think is a concern that should be on each and every one of our radar. And I think it is something that we should certainly be being prepared for, or, working towards being prepared for. Again, every one of us in our respective nations have a lot on our plates right now, but we can't ignore what's going on between the nations as well. So anyway, I hope you have a good day. As always, shalom.